What's up, everyone? This is Josh Rubin from East West Healing. Today I want to talk about the relationship between iodine and histamine. Big topic, right? But before we jump in, as always, please like that video. Show us a little support. I got a little hair right here. Please hit that notification button and subscription button so every single Wednesday we put out a video, you get notified. Let's jump in. All right, so this is a big topic, right? We talk about histamine, it's huge. You talk about iodine, there's different schools of thought. Now, when I talk about iodine, I'm not talking about supplements. I'm talking about food because you can get it from food, right? You can get it from seaweed, cod, shrimp, oysters, potatoes, cranberries, prunes, dairy, eggs. So nature always, this hair is getting in my way. Nature always provides us with what we need. The question is, are we gonna eat the foods? Are we gonna take the supplement? Now, the supplement form, I just don't think we need because a little too much, you can actually affect the thyroid in a negative way. And if our levels drop too little, same things can happen in the system. But the main thing I want to talk about is the relationship between iodine and histamine, right? Because it's being promoted because iodine inhibits histidine, which is a precursor to histamine, and thus you control histamine. The problem is this is an allopathic way of thinking. If something is high, if we have inflammation, if something is low, all you have to do is take something to regulate what's going on without really understanding nature and human physiology. So if we understand histamine and what's happening, it's way bigger than iodine. And anyone that looks at histamine through the iodine lens has their binoculars on, and they need to take them off and look at the big picture. You need to look at the person and say, how did I get here? The first is we have to understand this. Anytime we have chronic unmitigated stress in the system, we should have stress. That's a normal part of life. That's how we build resiliency. But anytime when the demands that are being placed on us exceed what we can handle, because we don't want to change, we keep doing more of the same plus more of the same, right? We think we can heal in the same environment. This creates stress in the system. So we have a chemical response through the adrenal glands and a sympathetic response through the sympathetic nervous system. This, in a sense, when it becomes chronic, causes the body or the mast cells, especially in the gut, to release histamine. This is what causes gut permeability. This is what causes malabsorption. And this is what causes food intolerances because it creates so much permeability. Food particles slip through and get through and they shouldn't be there, which causes an immune response. And this shows you that those food intolerance tests are completely useless. You just need to actually change how you're living and change how you're eating to build up your immune system, to decrease inflammation so you can eat the foods again. It's really that simple. But here's the thing, it's that chronic stress that's causing the histamine response. So if we take iodine to inhibit histidine, to inhibit histamine, what are we doing, right? We're not fixing the problem. We're robbing Peter to pay Paul because the chronic stress physiology is still coming in. So you might go, oh my God, this iodine is working. This is so amazing. But the second you go off the iodine, boom, symptoms come right back. You're exactly where you started. That's what supplements do. They chase the effect. They don't change the cause. Our motto is don't chase the effect. Create health, because if you create health, organically, you're going to change the effect. So if we take a look at how we're living and saying, how can I shift? How can I make small changes to reduce that physiological stress? How do I begin to eat and live in a way to meet my needs so the demands being placed on me don't exceed what I can handle? So I reduce that unmitigated stress. I reduce the response in the adrenals. I reduce that sympathetic response. Thus, I reduce that histamine response via the mast cell. That's the first step. It's not about iodine, right? And it is in a sense because we don't eat those foods. We're not eating seafood and shrimp and cod and oysters and milk because it's so dangerous, eggs and cranberry prunes and potatoes. We're eating chicken and we're eating boxed, canned, and wrapped foods. This is why people don't get enough iodine. We can get it from nature. The second is you have to understand that when that chronic stress is happening, among other things, number one, we don't get it in our food. People just don't get enough retinol-rich food and copper-rich foods. But there's proteins that are produced when this chronically stretched, which causes the body to affect copper metabolism. Well, copper is so important because the only way you can control histamine in the central nervous system is through methyltransferase, but the gut is that fancy DIO enzyme. It's a copper-dependent enzyme. Without copper, you can't clean up the histamine. So that's step number two. It's making sure that when you're reducing stress and you're meeting your needs, to downregulate mast cell production, then you're eating retinol-rich foods because that loads copper. It plays a huge role in copper metabolism, like fatty fish, salmon, herring, mackerel, sardines, dairy, eggs. And copper-rich foods, like a lot of your organ meats and seafood, shellfish and things like that. Because that's going to help us to regulate the DO enzyme as we're decreasing the stress. Right now we can start cleaning it up. And then in the end, we're getting the iodine foods. We're getting all these foods that support us. So we don't need to take a fancy supplement, because here's the thing. Iodine inhibits that precursor to histamine. But what if you inhibit all the things that are causing your body to overproduce histamine and you're eating the foods to clear it out? You don't need the fancy supplement. It's really that simple. So hopefully this video makes sense to you and makes you go, oh my God, this is interesting. Like, I am just not doing anything to change. I'm doing more of the same, but I'm taking a supplement. I'm wondering why the 45 supplements that I'm taking aren't working for my system. It's because the only way to create change is to change. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I'm out.